Meantime, just hours ago, Axios put out an exclusive sourcing White House officials who say that a one-page memo to end the war is in the works and could come to fruition within the next couple of days. Quote, among other provisions, the deal would involve Iran committing to a moratorium on nuclear enrichment, the U.S. agreeing to lift sanctions, and release of billions of frozen Iranian funds, and both sides lifting restrictions around transit through the Strait of Hormuz. Let's welcome in now President of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. He's also a U.S. Navy lieutenant commander and a national security and Mideast expert. Dr. Jasser, great to see you as always.
It's good to be with you, John. Thanks for having me.
The big question always remains when these types of agreements start to take shape is there anyone in Iran with political power that was actually going to live up to their end of the deal?
Yeah, I think, the biggest mistake anyone in the West can do, and certainly the president's not doing this, is that we can do right now is to treat this regime like it's stable. It's not. This is the moment to stand with the Iranian people and not stabilize their oppressors. And the fact that the Democrats are focused on a 60-day line and using this in partisan politics just empowers the regime. The president obviously is ignoring that. We're moving ahead. You can tell recently with the appointment of one of the lead experts on the nuclear capabilities of Iran from the Foundations for the Defense of Democracy, who has now joined Witkoff, that really what we're doing is surrender management, just looking at the terms of their surrender. There's no cash that's going to go to, I could not imagine that there's any cash that would come. The question is, how do we get the uranium out of there? And ultimately, continue with time, the regime will collapse. They're unable right now. They're cash strapped severely. And as their officers can't be paid, they will continue to melt away like we saw in Syria. Within a month in Syria, the Assad regime was done. So I think it's going to take longer in a regime as large as the IRGC. But the echelons that are gone, now they're unstable. They're leaderless. And we're not going to know who their leaders are, but certainly our intelligence does.
Yeah, they know, obviously, a lot more than we know. And President Trump gets that insight, too. And that's one of the reasons why he seems, I think, so calm in these situations. He seems to have a handle on the situation and not concerned at all about this winding down. You also have French President Emmanuel Macron, who says that he's holding talks with the Iranian president to reaffirm the importance of freeing up shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Macron also added that he has encouraged Iran's president to look at plans by France and England to set up an international mission to lay the groundwork for transit through the Strait of Hormuz. But, they've been late to the party here. They've refused to really fully support the United States in their operation. If they really wanted to do something effectively, they could have joined the operation that President Trump just, announced a couple of days ago and helped all of the vessels transit through the Strait of Hormuz. What is Macron doing here? Just trying to stay relevant?
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good summary that, just somehow like the rooster trying to take credit for the morning. I mean, the bottom line is we have done more in these month and a half or so than over 47 years of appeasement. And, these populations in Europe are just held hostage by their large, France has the largest Muslim population in Europe, and the radicalization of their population has been on steroids. And they're basically letting them drive, the Islamists within their country, drive their approach to radical regimes like the IRGC. So, on the other hand, you look in Lebanon, for the first time now is saying they're not identifying Hezbollah as the resistance. They're taking back control of their Lebanese government away from Iran, which was making them a client state. So you see there's states that are starting to make sense in a post-IRGC environment. And then Europe is just sort of, like you said, playing catch up, and they're not really, in a security mindset, and they're just going to take the lead from the president and be far behind.
Yeah, you just think about the prospect, and you don't want to get too optimistic or too out in front of this, but a free Venezuela, a free Cuba, a free Iran, and you can see it would spread from there. I also wanted to play this clip for you, Dr. Jasser, of Marco Rubio yesterday, where he just went into this amazing speech about what it actually means to have hope for America and to be an American. Take a listen.
I got to ask you, what is your hope for America at a time such as this?
My hope for America?
And how do you personally deal with that?
Yeah, look, I mean, my hope for America is what it's always been. I think it's the hope we all share. We want it to continue to be the place where anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. where you're not limited by the circumstances of your birth, by the color of your skin, by your ethnicity, but frankly, it's a place where you are able to overcome challenges and achieve your full potential. I think that should be the goal of every country in the world, frankly. But I think in the U.S., we're not perfect. Our history is not one of perfection, but it's still better than anybody else's history. And ours is a story of perpetual improvement. Each generation has left the next generation of Americans freer, more prosperous, safer, and that is our goal as well. But it is a unique and exceptional country, and as we come upon this 250-year anniversary, I think we have a lot to learn and be proud of in our history. It is one of perpetual and continuous improvement, where each generation has done its part to bring us closer to fulfilling the vision that the founders of this country had upon its founding.
And that's the type of answer you get from someone who was raised in a family that fled an oppressive regime. And like Marco Rubio, Dr. Jasser, you're a first-generation American. Your parents fled Syria from a brutal regime. What do you think of Secretary Rubio's comments there?
I can't tell you how inspiring it is, John. And as you said, those of us who understand one generation away what it is to live under tyranny. That's why I'm running for Congress and can flip this seat here in Arizona, because we want to restore America's promise. The far left has been taken over by woke identities, by the Marxist jihadist axis, and you see now a president who understands what America first is, how to end the forever wars, to use surgical strength when need, but then to bring peace and allow a revolution within Iran to happen organically and not inorganically through a Game of Thrones that was really a disaster of the 20th century, but to let the organic movements happen and then also be the adults in the room for Europe and the West to really preserve freedom and leave a legacy of strength, but a legacy of free markets, ingenuity, and meritocracy, which Secretary Rubio really articulated ideally.
Yeah, it was amazing how he can just seamlessly transition from rap lyrics into a beautiful speech and a summary of what it actually means to be an American just like that. He's a very talented guy, and we'll see him. That's why everyone's talking about him for 2028 and not just J.D. Vance. Dr. Jasser, great to see you as always. Thank you.
Anytime. Thanks, John.
All right, let's get out to the White